are back. Thank you, Sean, for being with us. I'm so excited of everything that you have shared so far. And from being in part of your coaching program, I did learn about the formula. I did learn about three magic words, three special words: money, time, and magic. And what if you could have all the money in the world with less time and more magic? That would be the perfect life. And I think that's what all of us aspire to live, aspire to work so
Mhm.
hard in the world, to be entrepreneurs and to provide for our families and to make all of our dreams come true. But we want to do it with obviously more money, less time, and more magic, more enjoyment. So, Sean, it is fascinating how you also told me about all of the energies and influence mastery, self mastery, process mastery. I'm not sure. There's so much content that you can drop into here every time I want to learn more and be motivated and tune in. And for some reason, I went on vacation or went away, I go back and tune in into Mind Blinded group and our calls and all of that. And it just gives me so much content, so much motivation, so much fuel for me to keep going as an entrepreneur and remind myself of the formula money, time, and magic. So share a little bit more about this with us so that we can have more money, time, and magic.
Yeah. So as we said, a moment ago, Adriana, Einstein saying make it as simple as possible, not simpler. I asked myself the question, what does everyone want in common? And I am certain there's a progression that because we live in a capitalist structure, we do need money and we want money. And it's different for everybody. Some people are completely comfortable making $50,000 a year. Some people are not comfortable unless they're making $2 billion a year. And we hold no judgment. We do create a mechanism and a formula to discern how all this fits together, because the realm of personal development at its worst in one way sits in a space of people thinking, yeah, I can snap my fingers and have everything. That's just not true. It's completely unrealistic. And on the flip side of it, people think with a fixed mindset that, no, that's not impossible. This is a whole bunch of nonsense. And the truth is, in the same way the 1980 Miracle on Ice team won its championship and the impossible victory over the Soviets, all of us can create miraculous results in our life that actually look like magic, but are really just advanced science. So the first question is, how much money do you want to make? And that's an important decision. And then we have to make that decision based on what goes into making the money. With this one key dynamic, whether it's our money, time, or magic, we all go through an endless cycle. If to me, we're living our most magical life, an endless cycle of moving through three stages over and over and over. And Adriana, you stepped into this right now. And you went through, and everybody who's ever achieved anything goes through arduous, where you put more effort in and get a way smaller result. And then once we begin to cross over into the second stage, which is called momentum, where we put in less and less effort and get a larger and larger result, where our effort begins to become exceeded by our result. And then finally, a third stage where we are in abundance. And the abundance stage is we put in a little bit of effort, get a massive result. And Adriana, that's exactly what you did in your life. You were in arduous coming to this country financially, moved into momentum, and now in massive abundance. Arduous is brutal, and most people never make it out of it. But now you're moving into a cycle of impact. You're looking for magic. You achieved money and time through arduous to momentum to abundance. You have massive abundance of money, massive abundance of time. Now you're looking for magic. So you restart the arduous to momentum to abundance cycle, launching your podcast. It's been a beautiful process of sitting here. You are amazing. Your energy is incredible. You're completely inspirational. You're beautiful inside and out, all the wonderful things. But this is new. And you're working hard at it. You have an incredible team that's helping you do this, but it will go through arduous. And most people with their podcast, their platform, will never make it out of arduous. You will, because this is who and what you are, through the prism of the formula, self-process and influence mastery. And eventually you'll be in massive abundance, like a Tim Ferriss or Joe Rogan. You, Adriana, will be that. But most people don't realize that whether it's our money, right, our time freedom, which is how much abundant extra time we have to spend on things. Footnote, so many people think we have to trade time for money. That's simply untrue. The most powerful economic forces in the world do not. They graduate from trading time for money to a place where money is produced because of things they've done in the past. As money moves into that abundance phase, which I also have the privilege of being in, and it creates massive amounts of time freedom. For the third piece, which, as I said, you're in, which is where everybody dreams of getting to, where we can have the money and time we want, and now it's magic. And what do we mean by magic? We mean all the things you want to feel: relationship, love, pride, connection, adventure, family, whatever any of those things are. Maybe it's being the greatest surfer in the world or winning a championship in the Olympics like Herb Brooks did in 1980, or Muhammad Ali with his 3 world championships, or maybe like Martin Luther King or Malcolm X. Malcolm X, Malcolm X, wasn't he some crazy person? No, he wasn't a crazy person at all. Read his autobiography. He's one of the most powerful and influential people because he found magic in caring about the plight of what he perceived to be his people, and then came to see eventually that his people were all people, and found an even higher truth before he gave his life for it and predicted it. But for him, that was magic. To not live in truth, to not live to the highest gifts of his higher power would have been no life at all. So for all of us, we realize that money is financial abundance, time freedom is literally just time, 168 hours in the week. What do we commit to make our money or have our magic? That's our time category. Our magic is every emotion that we want to feel and experience in every way. And that cycle always goes through arduous, way more work for way little return, to momentum, where we begin to cross over and get more return for effort, into abundance, where a tiny little bit of effort creates massive return. My final example is somebody, I won't say that he's my friend, I'll say that he has called me his friend, Tony Robbins, which I'm honored for. And Tony said to me, has taught lots of fine folks this incredible principle, exponentiality, that he took 40 years to feed 1 billion people. And in the last 8 months, I had the privilege of being in his house for 3 days, about a month and a half ago. In the last 8 months, he has gotten 60 billion meals committed from colleagues of his that are billionaires. So imagine that exponentiality, 40 years for 1 billion meals, 8 months for 60 billion more. Said differently, that is what magic in our life looks like when it hits the abundance stage. But Tony had to go through arduous as he fed 2 people on the first Thanksgiving. His first year of feeding people was 2 people. And now he's at 60 billion in 8 months. That's the power of magic and this formula in the abundance stage, Adriana.
Thank you, Sean. Exponential growth, exponentiality, like I learned with you, it's amazing. That's when you go basically like a rocket, go to the sky directly. Yes. And what I want our audience to hear is so important. Like you're saying, that arduous work, hard work, the everyday work, the grinding every day when you don't see the returns, when you have tears in your eyes, everything that is so hard to do day after day. So tell us more about how to not give up, how to not take the easy route, how to not just basically decide to just go for your dreams and have this burning desire, which is what I had when I came to this country. I had this burning desire to succeed and to work and do whatever it took to make that dream come true and to be financially independent. So what does it take every day in and out, based on your formula and all of your personal experience and all of your successes that you have had, and how you've been in contact with all of these personnel that are so motivational? Tell us what it takes to be arduous and to go through that first stage before you get into momentum.
Thank you, Adriana. Such a beautiful question. So the label is self-mastery, and there's 7 destroyers of self-mastery. So you say, well, just tell me what to do. Well, I prefer to tell folks what not to do. And I'm not going to have time, in this moment to go through all 7 destroyers, but I will touch on two, right? The first one is how we use drugs. And Adriana, I'm going to say publicly right now something that's slightly uncomfortable. I'm a drug addict. I am a drug addict, except the drugs that I'm addicted to are incredibly good for you, and they're produced naturally inside of our body. My drugs of choice are endorphins, oxytocin, serotonin, and occasionally a touch of adrenaline, for sure. And those drugs, those chemicals produced inside of our body, come as the byproduct of using our body physically, our voice in a certain way, our body movements of power. And these are things that we know watching athletes. Watch athletes come out of the tunnel for a big college football game. Watch them come out of the tunnel for the Super Bowl. Watch NBA basketball players come out to music and the crowd's going wild. Why do home teams win at the level they do? Because there's an energetic momentum from the crowd that gets into the players. They begin to use their bodies differently, clapping, saying things, moving at a different level of certainty. So how we use drugs in our body, in these physiological movements, in weightlifting, in running, those mechanisms that produce the chemicals our bodies crave destroy the enemy drug, and the enemy drug is cortisol. Cortisol is our fight or flight hormone. It's designed to make us stop, to avoid danger. It's why sharks don't actually eat people, except in the most bizarre, isolated circumstances, even though they always could, because our survival brain is designed with cortisol being produced to avoid all danger. Except in avoiding all danger, we don't live our highest, greatest life. So my first recommendation is very practically use drugs all day, every day. I did jumping jacks before I started here. I did some body weight squats every single day before I do the next thing. I make sure in a 2 to 3 minute burst, I'm producing endorphins from my body so I can get it back inside my body and my higher self, as opposed to my survival brain, in addition to working out regularly. I used to do push-ups, so I don't go to court anymore. I've graduated from doing that. But when I was doing that, right, because I'm a business owner and an operator now, unless it's a choice of magic and impact that I want to create, my top 100 jury verdicts were that. They were choice, not for money. They were choice for magic and impact. But when I was going to court and I was doing as a part of what I did for a living, going back a couple of decades, I would literally do push-ups on the bathroom stall with paper towels on the floor before I went into court. It's not a joke. I didn't just do it one time. I did it all the time because I'm so committed to producing the drugs I need. I don't use coffee. I certainly don't take, I don't use alcohol. I don't use cocaine. I don't use anything that would be an external stimulant. I use internal stimulants. That's number one. The second principle, and I don't even think about it, because our survival brain tells us not to use those endorphins. They tell us not to stimulate. They tell us to rest, hide. We need rest. We need to avoid. That's what our survival brain tells us. So I don't think, I just do. I've conditioned myself that when I'm feeling suboptimally, which happens to me every day, multiple times a day, because I'm causing so much in the world, cortisol is always being produced, always being produced, always being produced. And I am so conditioned to not live in my cortisol. And I invite everybody here to do the same. That's number one. Number two, we will die for our chosen identities, not one identity, our identities. So who are you as a leader? Who are you in a relationship? Who are you as an athlete? Who are you as an entrepreneur? Who are you as a money earner? Who are you as an impact person? Who are you as an adventurer? I'm not telling you who to be, but I am telling you that if you haven't chosen, someone has chosen for you. The conditioning around you have chosen. So I've chosen as a blind man that I'm still a world-class athlete. And I might be the best body surfer in the world. I'm an incredible surfer. I'm one of the best blind skiers in the world at this point. So I'm still a peak level athlete. That's a part of who I am. I have the ability to cause and unleash things inside of people. And I know this, there's nothing that will ever stop me from hitting an outcome. Time may be a friction point. It may not come as quickly as I would otherwise have thought. Sometimes it comes more quickly, but there's nothing that's stopping me from co-creating an outcome with anyone I work with, and certainly not for myself or my own companies. That's how I show up in leadership. I show up to serve and love. I never let my ego, this is an identity choice. My ego, and you can choose whatever beliefs you guys want to choose, but choose them wisely, that my ego will never stop me for being and cause me to be in my fear of failure, fear of rejection. I don't believe that a rejection exists. So I'm a person who only fears not serving my higher power and not getting my life's work and mission into as many hands as possible during this period that I'm on this planet. And that's a little bit about those two things. Become a drug addict and use the power of choosing and conditioning your identities into you, because that will drive you forward. And I don't think discipline works really well. Discipline is exhausting. I'm not disciplined. I just condition my identities in, and it causes pull energy. Discipline is push energy, and push energy is very fleeting. Pull energy, identity choice, is infinitely more powerful. And that, Adriana, is what causes me in every situation to never quit. I don't have to effort and struggle. I just use my drugs, choose my identities, and operate around the other 5 destroyers. Adriana, thank you, and back to you.
Thank you, Sean. Yeah, like you're saying, drugs, and I know being from Colombia, how drugs can be so bad. I mean, hardcore drugs for people, and how they destroy nations, they destroy societies, they destroy families. And identity, like you're saying, I love how you said, if you have not chosen your identity, someone has chosen your identity for you. And that is so true. When you understand for who you are, and when you don't really have your values in place, and you're not decided for the future you want to do, who you want to be, how you want to show up in the world, someone is telling you, or you are doing what someone told you to do. So that's so important for all of us to realize and dig deep into our hearts. I do want to ask you about ego. Ego comes so
Yeah.
strong into a lot of people and into me, myself, like everybody. And how do you deal with ego so that you can show up as the best person you can ever be, and you can actually make an impact in the world, and put that aside and think aside of yourself, and yeah, and be the best person you can ever be, the best version of yourself.
Yeah. Thank you, Adriana. So no word has meaning until we give it a common meaning. So even if we ask Alexa or a device, hey, what does ego mean? It's going to have a definition, but we each have a slightly different definition. If I asked you, if I asked other people around you, or you ask me or people around me, we all might have a slightly different definition of ego. So I'll define it this way. When I use the word ego, and you go, well, I don't use it that way. That's okay. Use it whatever way you want, but this is what we're talking about. I use the word ego to mean where we put ourself above someone or something else. We put ourselves above someone or something else. That's how I'm using ego. And I get it. That's not its derivative. It's not its root. It's not its message in psychology from Freud. I understand all those things. But in the common usage of the word, that's how I'm using it. Okay. Now, so what do we do about that? Here's what I profess. Number one is that we love ourselves. Number two, that we love everyone else unconditionally with boundaries. So number one, love ourselves. Number two, love everyone else automatically, and never lose love for people, just have different levels of boundaries. You go, wait, somebody that's going to jail for harming people, a serial killer, love them? For me, yes. And if you can love them and put them in prison and believe that's where they belong forever, you have an immense level of freedom, because you're not in this process of assessing, should I love somebody, should I not? It's a better question of boundaries. So love yourself, love other people, and condition of boundaries. Once we come from that place, then we can actually have humility and think that we are not better or less than anyone else. I know that the Uber driver, the person cleaning the bathroom, the person cutting the grass outside my home, that they are not less than me and not better than me. I know the billionaire, Michael Jordan, Tom Brady, Michael Phelps, Tony Robbins, Oprah Winfrey, none of these people are better than me or less than me. We are all equally deserving of every one of life's amazing gifts, God's gifts, beautiful. That's a very different question, though, than how we assess skill sets. So if I want to create a football team, if it was 3 years ago, I'd want Tom Brady as my quarterback, period. Why? He's quarterback, and he wins. If I'm going to have an event, I want to have the best speaker. If you're going to have an event and want to raise money or cause something from the stage with humility, you want me there. Because other than Tony Robbins, I don't know there's a better, more skilled speaker in the world to cause something with an audience right now. That's not my ego talking. I think that's objectively true, just like it's objectively true that at one point, Usain Bolt was the fastest runner in the world and broke the world record. And then somebody broke Usain Bolt's record, and he became the second fastest runner in the history of the world. Saying factual measurements, objectively measurable things, and everything is subject to objective measure. You go, well, speaking's not real. Yes, it is. Longer story for a different day. These things are all measurable. Some things are more easily measurable than others. But when we're dealing with who's better, what's what for each job, who should play what position, who should do what thing, and we are genuinely approaching it from the idea of utility, like what's best for the team, what's best for the thing, that is optimal. That is not ego. When we say, oh, no, I'm not really that great a speaker, you are. Oh, no. If Adriana, you were saying, oh, I'm not really that beautiful, you're just as beautiful. Well, that could actually be your ego talking in the hidden way of false modesty. Very few people, Adriana, are as skilled and talented as an entrepreneur as you are. That's the truth. Very few people are as physically beautiful as you are, just like dealing with reality. I'm blind, but I know that to be true, right? I know what people say. So if you were to run around and go, oh, no, I was just lucky. And no, I'm not that, attractive. You would be engaged in false modesty. And what I would profess to everyone, because of ego. And our ego tells us, protect ourselves, because if we accept the truth of who and what we are, and we own the truth of who and what we are, then people are going to judge us and hurt us. And they are going to. but that's our ego seeking protection. So how do you tie all of this together? Number one, I'm proposing love yourself. Truly love yourself. Number one. Number two, and realize you're perfectly imperfect, just like me, just like everyone. Second, love everyone unconditionally with boundaries. Have boundaries for yourself, boundaries with other people. Third, have humility, which means we do not think we're better and we do not think we're less than anyone else. And fourth, avoid at all costs false modesty, which is lying and ego-driven, to say, no, I'm not really a great cook. No, I was really lucky to build $1 billion or $10 million or $5 million company. No, I was really just lucky to get my TV show. That's not luck. That's process, influence, self-mastery being executed in a beautiful way. It's a blessing for producing it, but it's certainly not luck. And it's something that we cause. And when we could do all of those things, then I believe we have self-mastery, which means our ego is in the right place, the right checkpoint for all those components. And what self-mastery at the end of the day means is this: we are capable, we have the freedom to engage in zone action, which is the most efficient action step we can take in any circumstance to bring about our integrous outcome. I'll say it one more time. Zone action is the freedom to take the most efficient, specific, direct action step to bring about the result, the outcome, the goal that we're seeking without any limitation whatsoever. The integrous goal we're seeking, not limited by our 7 destroyers of self-mastery. The top of that food chain, of course, is fear. And we have that, our ego's in check. We're not better, we're not less, but we are owning our greatness. We're owning our right to our mission, vision, and purpose. And now, from a place of love, we can cause anything. Adriana.
Thank you, Sean. I am just taking so many notes because I always learn so much from you. So thank you so much for everything that you're dropping into our audience, into myself. Talking about false humility, false modesty, that was something that I had to deal with, and I learned through you, where I was serving other people and giving credit to myself for my history and for sharing really my history and everything that I worked so hard for and that my family is super proud of. So thank you for helping me go through that and really serve and use my story to inspire others. And actually, you are one of the causes of this show being here, the Adriana Montes show, where now I want to inspire leaders and share stories of and interview people that are as successful as I am, more or less, but people that are inspired to make a difference in this world, to create other leaders. So you are one of the causes for this show to happen, and because I was able to overcome my false humility, my false sense of modesty. So thank you so much for that, Sean. I appreciate that so much. And also, when you talk about zone action, taking action, going into that mode where you take action, where it's like implementation is number one, and you just go for your goals and make it happen no matter what. But there's limits, right? And I understand you as a blind man had a limit of being blind, and that is a limit, quite noticeable limit. And I admire you so much because every time I see you, the way how you move through the room, the way how you speak, the way how you talk to people, the way how you interact, I really will not, if nobody told me, I will never think that you were blind. So how have you mastered that? How have you overcome those limits and be able to stay in your zone action and be able to be this amazing leader and this idol and motivational speaker and leader as an attorney, dear friend, beautiful heart? How did you manage the limitation of blindness to be this kind of person, the best version of yourself that you are being?
Adriana, it's always the same answer: self-process and influence mastery. Just giving a little bit of color to that as we begin to draw to a close here. So here's the deal. It's the same answer for you. How did you overcome not speaking the language? How did you overcome ethnic bias, national bias, gender bias, unique gender bias because of your physical appearance being what it is in a beautiful way? You did all the same things, right? We all have these friction points. And so for me, a little bit more practically, as I've lost my sight, I stopped driving about 12 years ago-ish. I stopped reading about 10 years ago-ish. It's like somewhere in that time frame. And as I did, I developed other abilities. I made money. I had the ability for people to read things to me. I had a little bit of peripheral vision. I'm actually a better skier now Then I was a great skier as I went blind, but I'm an even better skier now because I ski by feel and audio assist. So for all of us, no matter what the limitations are, what bias we're facing, what physical disability we're facing, what mental challenge that we're facing, all of these things, we have adaptive mechanisms of overcoming them. And so in each of these things, that's what I did. My memory is so much more powerful than it was. I always had strong listening skills. My listening skills are incredible. I can hear when somebody pauses. I could tell what they're thinking. It's just hyper present. So whatever limitations and challenges we have, it gives an access road if we ask ourselves the powerful question of, okay, how do I make it around this challenge? What are all the different ways? How to make it around now, fast as possible, powerful as possible, and love and enjoy the process. The questions that we ask ourselves, give ourselves the answers, or you can say, why me? How could I do this? I can't make it. What am I going to do? Those are incredibly disempowering questions. When we ask ourselves the most empowering questions possible, that's what leads us to this pathway, and also led me to building the Unblinded platform, doing the events that we do. You're coming to Grand Cayman and bring 100 entrepreneurs there. All being the Tony Robbins stage 17 times. I'll be on his stage for the 18th time come up this summer. All of this is rooted in more powerful questions, and then the application of self, process, and influence mastery. And just simply put, in the room, I got a little bit of peripheral vision. So I'll map out the room before I go into it. And I could see where there's like gaps, context clues, tell me what things are. And so I operate around the room with incredible certainty, confidence, and strength. And what you said, Adriana, is very funny, but I hear it all the time. You don't look blind. And if you Google Sean Callagy, a little drop-up box that comes there, the question, is he really blind? Is the number one thing that comes up in the Google search box. And I'm incredibly proud of that, because that means I'm showing up in a way to disrupt the pattern of what people falsely think a blind person should be, just like you did, Adriana. What people think that a beautiful Latina woman who didn't speak English coming to the country, they have a story about that. You shattered that story in the American dream. I've shattered blindness. You shattered non-English speaking, beautiful Latina woman. How you make it in this country, it's not how you made it. And you stand for something powerful. And I love you for it. I'm proud of you. And thank you for today.
I love you so much, Sean. Thank you. You're one who got this into my life, and now into all of our listeners. So thank you for being in this show. Before we wrap up, I want to bring some fun facts. You always tell me about, like, asking a person about fun facts about them. And I would like for you to share these fun facts, including something about sharks that I heard that you had some experience with.
Yes, I've been bumped by a shark surfing. That is true. I've scuba dove with 100 sharks at one time. And I've actually taken my son into the water where he's been bitten on his fin by a shark. And we've gone to the exact same dive site the next day, looking to recreate the situation, true story, in the wild. And my son was bitten on 2 consecutive days by a shark on his fin. I love sharks, and sharks are actually more afraid of us than we are of them. Every time a yes gets put at stake, somebody who may be very predatory becomes prey, no matter how powerful and strong. And just remember this. Every single person lives far more often in their survival brain than their higher self. And if you could live in your higher self and love people and cause yourself, process, and influence mastery to come into the highest alignment, you can cause their leadership, and you can endlessly produce more for you, for those that you love, and the entire world. Adriana.
Thank you, Sean. So, and as a last credit, I'm going to get my scuba diving certification, since I scuba dive with you in Grand Cayman, and I'm going to take that to the heart. So sharks love me, and I love sharks every time I go into the water. So thank you for that. And with this, we're going to wrap our show, and I'm going to let Sean come one last time to share his contact information for anybody that wants to get in contact with Callagy Law Firm and Unblinded program.
Yeah. So I'm Sean Callagy, CALLAGYSEAN, Sean Callagy, CALLAGY. Check out unblindedmastery.com. We have events constantly. Come to an immersive event, full money back guarantees. It will blow your mind. And I say this with great humility. For this, from the space of the superpower of influence, there's nothing like what we do in the world. No matter what you've seen, where you have been, the most powerful, influential people in the world call me their coach, their mentor, their trainer, and have said I've created massive access for them. Come do what Adriana did. Check it out. We have them nonstop. coming up in a town near you, or jump on an airplane and come see us. Lots of work that we can do together on blindedmaster.com. Again, I'm Sean Callagy, and thank you so much, Adriana.
Thank you. And for those that haven't listened to me before, I've been doing shows with Eric Fraser since 2020. And right now, I feel that it truly has been a privilege that Sean Callagy has been here. After 3 years, this is who I am as a speaker. So a lot more improvement to do, but I'm here to serve you guys and to inspire all of these lives that want to be entrepreneurs. You have been in the Adriana Montes Real Estate Show. Again, my name is Adriana Montes. You can contact me at 321-689-6258 or email me at adriana@floridadreamsrealty.com. Remember to subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow me on social media, LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, and I look forward to seeing you again. Thank you.